Welcome to Eagle Eye.
What a break from Manolo!
Interviewing your favorite USA Eagles around the globe.
Tony Lamb into the 22.
Now, here's your host, Bill Baker.
Hey everybody, welcome to Eagle Eye. On this episode, we have USA hooker Joe Taufete'e. Joe talks about his move to France and the reason why he left the Worcester Warriors. Now, since recording this interview a couple weeks ago, unfortunately, Big Joe suffered an MCL injury during the Lyon and Bordeaux match on October 5th. He's in a leg brace and is expected to be out a minimum of 4 weeks. So best of luck and a quick recovery, Joe. Hey, Joe.
Hello, how's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good, man. So first of all, happy belated birthday.
Yeah, appreciate that. Big 28, finally.
Big 28. Yeah. Do anything special?
Not really. I mean, with the coronavirus hanging around still, it's kind of hard to get out and do a lot of things, but just kept it within the family. So, yeah.
Yeah, and how'd your move go over to France?
It was a pretty weird one. Like, we ended up taking a train from London over to Paris and Paris to Lyon, and it was just, me, my wife, and these two young toddlers running around train stations trying to figure out what things were saying.
Yeah, I did that a year ago, February. I was over there in Paris, and I don't speak a lick of French, so I was doing my best, and most people were nice enough to help out, but...
Yeah. I mean, it was easy when I, find somebody who can speak a little English that would help me out, which is cool.
How's that going for you also? How's your French doing?
It's not as good as David's, but I'm still trying to practice the little things and trying to get little rugby terms in order before I actually, start deep diving into deeper conversations with people. But yeah, it's slowly but surely.
Yeah, that's one thing that David has. He's a veteran above you on is the French language.
Yeah. I know, and he's always going to hold that against me.
Of course. So you said your family is still with you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it must be nice to have them with you.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, when I first started off at Worcester, I was, first year and a half, I was by myself. My wife was pregnant, and that whole time without family was a really tough one for me mentally.
Yeah. So
in a new country, didn't know what was going on, and miles away from, my wife who's pregnant and the rest of my family.
So since you've been there, I know with COVID it's difficult, but have you had a chance at all to get out with the family, do a little sightseeing? Was that even possible?
Yeah. I mean, we did. Yeah, we did get to kind of see the town. I mean, my kids started school out here. We put our son, 3 years old. He's supposed to start school at 3 years old out here, so it's kind of like their preschool. And then we put our daughter into what they call creche. It's like a nursery.
Okay.
So we, somehow last week we finally got our schedules kind of combined in a way that, I could spend time with my wife alone just to kind of explore the city, which is pretty amazing.
Wow. I mean, think about that as a kid. I mean, living on the West Coast, or being born on the West Coast and then going over to England and then a whole new culture to learn in France. Yeah. I mean, that's the stuff that he never would have learned, I don't think, over here in the States.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's the best thing about rugby is you kind of get to see outside of what you commonly know on a day-to-day, and it's amazing. And I'm proud that, they can have this kind of experience and they can look back when they're older and be like, I was traveling around the world when I was 3 years old, It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, not with the military, but with a professional athlete dad.
Yeah.
So just paint a little picture for me. What's a daily life between club and family? What does that look like?
Well, right now we live in the countryside. So it's just about 15 minutes from stadium, but it's 25 minutes to the actual city. At the moment, we only have one car. And so she's kind of doing the carpool, the mom man just dropping us all off. She'll drop me off at 7:30 into the stadium, and then she'll drop off my son at school, and then my daughter into nursery, and then I'll go about my day with training. That it's something that I've kind of gotten used to now is that at 12 o'clock everything shuts down in France, So they almost everyone takes a break at 12 o'clock, and so that's what we do as well. And so we're literally taking naps around the gym, you know, having a nap, and it's kind of weird, but I've come to enjoy that nap midday.
Midday nap, no kidding.
Yeah. And then so after that, I get home and my wife is doing her runs again, picking everybody up. And it's kind of crazy. My wife actually lets me, with the first hour or two, she lets me just do whatever I want to do. And, just kind of, let everything sink in. And, as stressful it is just to be training every day and be in an environment where, a lot of testosterone, and she kind of just lets me chill out and do what I want to do. And I usually just jump on the game and start playing Call of Duty or, playing NBA 2K or something. It's pretty relaxed. And then bath time's around 6:30, after, a couple hours on the game. And then, that's us for the day pretty much.
Yeah, nice. So speaking of COVID, what precautions are you as a family and also as Lyon, as the club, what are the precautions everyone's taking right now?
It's been pretty strict. I mean, we're getting tests 3 times a week pretty much as far as a team. And, they've kind of relayed that message on to us to tell our families to kind of be careful on going out and meeting new people. It's kind of tough to be in a new country and you want to kind of take in the culture and you kind of want to meet new people and kind of have friends outside of rugby. And it, with COVID, it's kind of, set that to a stop almost. And, so we don't really get to, be outside as much as we'd like to. I mean, that's the hardest thing. But, within rugby, it's been difficult with teams all over the world are, always being strict on their players on what they're doing after they get their training. And so I think, I mean, I wish it would have been different, but, so far we've been able to just kind of be closer as a family, which has been amazing.
Yeah, and on the pitch, you've been able to have some matches too. Like there are some other French teams who've had more issues and had to have postponements.
Yeah, so we had our first postponed game last week. So we had a couple guys who came up positive. And that was really close to the weekend. So they kind of just said, okay, we're going to have a couple of meetings and see what it is we need to do. And, they ended up postponing it till Monday.
So, Joe, going into your transition from Worcester to Lyon, let's talk a little bit about the last part of Worcester. Post-World Cup, when you returned to the club, it seemed like you dropped off the radar a bit. What happened there after the World Cup?
To be honest, even before the World Cup, with the new coaching staff, they had a different system on how they wanted to play. Yeah. And for me, my game as a hooker is way different than your average hooker that you see nowadays. They're 110 kgs. They don't weigh as much as I do anymore. So, so that game plan didn't really fit within what my game was. And it was kind of hard to come back and try to find form, coming into the World Cup and then also post-World Cup. It was always hard. But, with Lyon, it's what they want. They want me to be me. And that's the best part about making this move here with Lyon, is that the opportunity that presents itself is that the coaches want me to play the way I play. And it fits their system and it fits how they want to play and how they want to be portrayed as.
Is that what led you over to France? Was the different coaching styles from Worcester? Were you already heading out, do you think, at that point? Or was that the reason why you moved on?
Yeah, I mean, I was, in a sense, already looking for the next move before the year even finished. I knew that with that new coaching staff that, I was always going to be an impact player, and that was where they saw me as. I was always looking towards the future, and France happened to be, a good move for me.
Yeah, so a fresh start.
Yeah, exactly.
So now how's that start been for you? How's the transition to this club been?
Yeah, we could talk about COVID all day and all night, but it's been hard with COVID. When COVID hit, I was already not playing rugby, enough rugby for me to stay fit. And then when COVID hit, it was kind of like a shutdown of all the clubs all around the world. And so I wasn't getting the training. I was at home all the time, and my wife's cooking is amazing. And so that kind of, that was kind of like a rolling storm waiting to happen. And so when I got into Lyon, I wasn't in the shape that I wanted to be in.
Oh yeah.
So, the coaches saw that and they pretty much immediately put me on a plan, gave me meals for when I go home. And it's been amazing for them to kind of understand that I need rugby to get fit and not, the marathons that you run on the pitch. It's not me running up and down all day, every day to get me fit. It's the rugby. So as soon as I got back, it was all that. It was just trying to get my body ready to handle that kind of conditioning, the contact and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I was speaking to Gary Gold a couple weeks ago about you and the other players as well. And he said, and it made a lot of sense. He said players like you, Bryce Campbell, a few others, weren't getting the playing time that you would want. I mean, you're already in a professional camp, you're getting great training, and when you do play, you play well and you're getting those minutes. But you want to play. I mean, each of you want to play, and sitting on the bench and not getting the playing time isn't the best for you, especially when it comes to international aspirations for the players.
Yeah.
So that must have been eating at you as well.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, obviously, when I come with the USA, I want to be in tip-top form because I'm obviously around the top, level of professional rugby in the country that I'm in. So if I come into USA and I'm not fit, I'm not game ready, that kind of just, it almost seems like I'm not taking advantage of the time that I have being out here, and it's difficult to scavenge for minutes, in the game, but. I mean, for me, when I first came into professional rugby, it didn't matter. I just took every opportunity that I could to get, and as far as training, I always learned something. But after you've trained as hard as you could and you feel like you're ready, it's kind of a setback when, they tell you you're on the bench or you're not playing this weekend. And, it kind of takes a hold on you. And it's not what you want when you want to go into international rugby.
That's true. Now, you've only played a couple matches so far, but have you noticed any difference between the two leagues, between Premiership and Top 14?
To be honest, I thought it would be completely different. But when I came here, it was almost the same as what they wanted in the meters that you ran in the week. The professionalism that they want with the conditioning has been, top form. Nutrition, top form, the weights, everything, if not better than what it was when I was in England.
Yeah, I should have thought about this a minute ago. But when you were off and no one was playing, and your wife is an amazing cook, it sounds like. What was your weight? What'd you get up to?
Okay,
you don't have to tell me. You don't.
Be honest. My weight when I first weighed in at Lyon, I was 131 kgs. I don't know what the conversion is, but right now I'm sitting at the same weight that I would play at the World Cup. So it took a lot of grinding from July to, what it is now.
Yeah, that's great. Looking forward to some matchups with David and Titi?
Yeah, I'm always looking forward to seeing, common faces, especially when it's someone who's, you play with, side by side. So, I'm looking forward to that.
You haven't faced each other too much except for maybe in trainings, but are there any kind of love taps with the head, forehead, anything like that as you're piling into a scrum?
We'll see about that. It depends on how he is the first scrum. The first scrum, he wants, he's got the, fire in his eyes, then I'll know, okay, time to take the gloves off and actually be there. But, we'll see. We'll see how the game goes.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So let's go back a bit. Let's looking back at your career at this point. So, 2 World Cups.
Yeah.
What was it? World Rugby Player of the Year nomination. You were part of some amazing matches, USA, including beating Scotland. Is there what stands out the most for you? Like, what are you most proud about so far in your career?
I think it's just the whole process of how everything happened. It's just kind of rare for me to kind of, sit down and think about how it all began. It was kind of weird. 2015, it was a surprise inclusion in the World Cup. Like, guys trained 4 years for it. And for me to kind of be that, that last man in the squad was amazing. And I think for me, that I'm proud most of is that, and also kind of learning and taking in everything that the older players would say.
Yeah.
When it came to Todd, playing all the senior guys, Chris, Samu, you have different perspectives on what it is to be a player in the U.S. uniform. And, for me to kind of take that all in and absorb it was, kind of what made me the player that I am today.
Yeah. Now, is there anything you would have done differently looking back?
I think I would have cut my hair
Yeah.
in the World
World Cup.
2015 World Cup. I wish I would have cut my hair.
I did see an image of David back in, I think it was under 19, something like that, and his hair is just out like this. And
Yeah.
I don't know how he gets around the pitch.
Yeah, I don't know either. I've seen some film on him playing like that, and I couldn't stand hair flying in my face.
So, thinking back over the years also, are there any players or coaches who have been the most influential on you or have made the most impact on your career?
It had to start with my Belmont coach. So when I first started playing rugby again, it was Ray, who coached Ray Lolesi when I first started playing rugby. And, he was straight from New Zealand, but he was really old school and strict. There were trainees that we come in, we didn't even touch the ball. But he was a real influential part of my career. And then also my men's coach that following year was Ray Egan. He was a Belmont coach as well. And, when I fell off, it was always him that kind of helped me with my training. And he was the one that always saw the potential that I had to become something better than I was. And then getting into my professional career was always, there's Gary. Gary's been influential. I've been with him at Worcester, and for him to see the kind of potential that I had when he came over, and kind of put it in a bigger picture for me, and it helped me see that there's nothing wrong with my game. It's just about being myself and enjoying rugby for what it is.
And thinking about that 10 years back again, so you're 20 now. So when you were 18, you were finishing up high school football, getting into Belmont. Did you have any thought back then that you would be where you are now?
No, not at all. I didn't think any of this was possible. Me and my wife always talk about it. Like, we're walking down the street at Lyon. It's like, wow, we're, walking around in France and you're playing rugby, as your career. And like, how amazing is that? Like, to think that you didn't even want to work. Like when I was 18, I just wanted to go to school and play football. That's all you wanted to do, and eat McDonald's every day. And then here I am now, walking the streets of Lyon.
Yeah, you can't eat McDonald's anymore.
Yeah,
Maybe a little bit.
Debatable.
So, around that time also, speaking of your wife, talking about what you're doing now, and it's been well documented, you credit her for getting you into the sport. So,
yeah.
Explain that to me. Was it one day she came to you and says, "You're no man, you need to play a real man sport," or how did that happen?
No, it was when she introduced me to her family that were living in Carson. And so, this is the first time I'm meeting the family, and, it's nerve-wracking for me as, her new boyfriend. And, they'd always talk about rugby, and that was the topic of every conversation, around the table. And so, they'd start talking about these kids who were my age and, how strong he was, how powerful, or like how fast he was. And I sat back and said, I think this might be the way into the family is to start playing rugby. And she kind of said, you know what, you're not really doing anything. I just had an ACL injury and I was getting fat. And she said, you might as well go pick up, rugby and just start playing, get back into shape or something. Because, I wasn't doing anything. So that's how essentially I got into it.
So looking forward, Joe, what's next? I know how long you locked up with Lyon for?
So I've got 2 years with Lyon, and then kind of see what happens after that.
Yeah, so that's lots of time. You can't be worried too much about it yet. But,
yeah.
And you're still relatively young, which is great. I know there's always, I'm sure a couple of friends already called you saying, hey, we have a professional league here in the States.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was close call where I almost did come back home.
Really?
Yeah, but I think if I didn't take the opportunity to kind of explore every avenue in my career, then I wouldn't really, I wouldn't really live.
Yeah. So looking back, can I go back 10 years again? So I should have put these all together. So 10 years
Okay.
again, and to wrap it up right now, you run into yourself as an 18-year-old, and you have a conversation with yourself. What advice would you give him?
That's a tough one. That one.
Like there's something you've learned over these years through travels or on the pitch that
Yeah.
maybe you wish you knew when you were younger.
Yeah. I tell myself to never get comfortable, and never get comfortable where you're at or what you're doing, or don't hang up on yourself on the win that you've just had, or just always think about the next move or the next goal that you have in mind. Because sometimes I find myself and I'm just like, okay, I'm content, I'm happy. Okay, well, okay, yeah, I'll just chill here, And I think if I told myself that when I was younger, to always keep pushing, never be content, and I'd probably set more goals and higher goals for myself.
Well, listen, Joe, that's it. I mean, I really appreciate you calling in. I love where you are right now as far as family and rugby, and it sounds like you are too. But thanks so much. Good luck in the future, and again, thanks for joining me.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate what you're doing. It's amazing what you're doing, and kind of just getting the word out on the boys. And I follow it all the time, which I just want to relay that to you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I really do. All right, Joe, man. Take care. Be safe.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate you, Bill.
Thank you. Bye-bye.